Welcome to Autism Tips and Tools, where we highlight the best practical guidance from previous episodes of Autism Knows No Borders. Whether you're a self-advocate, a family member, or a service provider, there's something here for you. I'm Rachel Harmon, a professional in the field of autism services, outreach, and advocacy, and the following clip is from a roundtable discussion on neurodiversity-affirming practices with our Global Autism Community, featuring autistic self-advocates Thomas Island, Corbin Havener, Andrew Bennett, Bob Schmoose, and Brian Middleton. Listen to the community members talk about what affirming means to them and how masking affects autistic individuals.
One thing that has definitely been a struggle for me over the years, and I think my peers can relate to this, is employment. Neurodiversity affirming practices in employment, both in the hiring and retention stages, both making sure that we are heard or at least given the opportunity to present ourselves. And once we show we are qualified for the position, that we be able to stay in a job that is gainful and productive and meaningful to us, and that our voices matter, particularly when it comes to decisions made at the top. And I really want to encourage leadership amongst my peers in their workplaces as well. So that's my first 2 cents on neurodiversity affirming practices in employment.
Yeah, I think affirming means you're able to live as who you are, and it's not seen as necessary to change that basic core part. There's a lot of identities that could be affirmed, whether neurological, racial, ethnic, sexual orientation, they all lead to better outcomes if those identities are able to be affirmed.
Go ahead, Andrew.
To piggyback off Corbin, I think anytime that we are affirming the truth of someone's identity, we are helping them to become more fully realized versions of themselves. The essential part of that is I define affirming a couple of different ways, one of them being the philosophical point of view on it, which is affirming is to declare something as truth and to promote it and to cultivate it. And that can be in the way that we treat somebody or the way that we validate a person's identity or sense of self. In order to do that in a way that's beneficial to the individual, we have to know that that's who they are. And we can base that, particularly with some of the identities that you've mentioned, we can base that on certain facts that we can see and observe and measure, ideally. Now, for autism, the idea of the neurodiversity movement is predicated on the concept that neurodiversity is a real and objective thing, and autism being one of those things. We can look at that and see that it is based in the brain or in old neurotype. It's also manifests in behavior, but it's not as objective as what we see and can measure, and now we'll understand a little bit more about within ourselves. So to be able to affirm that, we can look at that and then see and encourage the development of a sense of self that highlights those qualities that make the autistic individual who they are, and so that they can live a functioning life.
I think when it comes to neurodiversity affirming, one thing that we have to definitely keep in mind is, making sure that, our voice is being heard, and that, our voice is being heard in regards to the aspects of the issue. Like, I want to piggyback on what was said about employment. That's a big one. And, also not only with employment, but what can help neurodiverse individuals be employed? Like, what can help us stay on the job? Like, what can help us to be successful in that? Not only with that, but also with relationships. Like, what is something that can help us socially without having us mask?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know masking is a big issue. And I know personally that's been something that's affected me, being forced to mask, being forced to not be myself, and how to not have that fear.
To piggyback off of what Robert was saying, I think the operative term there is forced to mask, because masking can be a choice. It can be something that you choose to do because you're not familiar with the person and you're not comfortable enough to open yourself up. But the issue is not masking itself so much as we're forced to, because we have no choice, because the environment does that to us. I'm sure it's true for other forms of protecting yourself where you're in a hostile environment and you have to versus wanting to, because I I can choose to unmask any point in time I want, but then I have to deal with when I truly 100% unmask, do I have to worry about whether or not my job is at stake, whether or not I'm going to be discriminated against by an EMT or a police officer. And it just compounds even more when you have multiple intersections. It's not a choice when the environment is so coercive that you have to protect yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly true because, we have so many things coming at once. Like, all right, well, how do I act in this situation? What do I do in this situation? And then we're given all these expectations which change every day. That's where the big anxiety comes from. The big struggle comes from is, as you said, sir, being forced to mask. And it's really down to the point where it actually affects us in so many ways. That's why there's so many, like, you hear stories of neurodiverse individuals being neurodivergents having like anxiety attacks due to such panic attacks due to this forced masking.
Thanks for tuning in to Autism Knows No Borders. Would you like to hear about best practices, client dignity, and how to create inclusive environments that respect the autonomy and individuality of autistic people? Follow the link in the show notes for the full conversation. And be sure to subscribe for more insights from people connected to autism, inspiring change and building community. Let's work together to transform how the world relates to autism. Thanks for listening. Take care.